Hello, my name is Grady Cueva. I'm going to talk about sign language. Sign language is a visual and gestural communication technique used by deaf and listening disability individuals to communicate with each other and with those who can hear. It is a natural and complete language with its own grammar and syntax based on a combination of physical signs, facial and body expressions, and age and head movements. The linguistic community recognizes sign language as a natural and real language, and it must be recognized as such in all aspects of society. Sign language and body language are not the same. Sign language and body language are not interchangeable as they are two different communication systems. Sign language is a complete language with its own grammar and syntax. Sign language transmits thoughts and concepts by using hand signs, facial and body expressions, and age and head movements, unlike body language, which correspond to the facial expressions, gestures, and postures we use to convey our emotions and opinions. It is essential to understand the difference between those two communication systems in order to avoid misunderstanding and to promote inclusion and accessibility for all people. Characteristics of sign language. Sign language is intricately tied to the culture of the country where it's employed. Each global sign language is unique to its respective community and culture. While all worldwide sign language incorporate alphabets, familiarity with the alphabet of one's native spoken language doesn't automatically confer literacy in sign language. Sign language around the world adhere to and encompass the grammatical features found in the spoken language, included phonology, morphology, and syntax. Similar to spoken language, sign language utilizes fundamental parts of speech, such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, pronouns, and adverbs, to construct sentences. Each sign language adheres to the grammatical rules of its spoken language counterpart. For instance, American Sign Language follows a basic subject-verb-object-word order. Users of sign language must adhere to specific grammar and vocabulary rules to ensure messages are accurately conveyed and understood. Sign language comprises various elements, including the use of hands and arms, along with the interpretation of facial expressions, aids, brows, mouth, and body language gestures, including directional indicators such as front, right, left, up, and down. The vocabulary of sign language is a combination of signs and gestures, forming sentences in accordance with grammatical rules. The difference between verbal and non-verbal communication. The difference between verbal and nonverbal communication, it is in the ways by which they are expressed. Verbal communication requires the use of spoken or written words, whereas nonverbal communication involves the use of gestures, facial expressions, postures, and other non-linguistic aspects to communicate message. In verbal communication, words are spoken or written to express ideas, thoughts, and feelings. For example, when someone says, I'm sad, or write, I'm sad. Whereas non-verbal communication use non-linguistic signs to communicate message. For example, a smile or is shrug reveals emotions. Now we will analyze an example in which the use of verbal and non-verbal language is shown. In an interview, greetings and questions are exchanged through spoken language, which is an example of verbal communication. In addition, the candidate provides clear and relevant verbal response, and their non-verbal language also communicates important information, show confidence in each content, known to demonstrate understanding, and use moderate gestures to emphasize key points. In this example, you can notice how verbal language is based on spoken or written words, while nonverbal language involves gestures, facial expressions, and other forms of communication without the use of specific words. Both types of language are fundamental in human communication and are often combined to convey the message effectively. Now let's talk about paralanguage and paralinguistic. Paralanguage refers to nonverbal sounds that accompany speech. These may include pitch, rhyme, speed, intonation, volume, pauses, and other hearing elements. For example, a person can use a higher and more enthusiastic tone of voice when sharing good news, while he could use a lower and more serious tone when discussing something more serious. On the other hand, paralinguistic is the study of nonverbal sounds and how they contribute to communication. It has three categories of vocalizations: vocal categories, vocal qualifiers, and vocal segregations. Now we will analyze these categories. Vocal features are sounds that express emotions or physical states such as laughter, crying, or yawning. Vocal qualifiers are variation in pitch, rate, or tempo of the voice, which can provide additional information to what is being said. Finally, vocal segregations are sounds that have no clear lexical meaning, such as or but can be used to show agreement, disagreement, or interest in what is saying. In conclusion, sign language is a visual and gestural form of communication that is essential for the deaf or hard of hearing. It has its own grammar and syntax, including body symbols, facial expressions, and body movements. It is a recognized language that must be recognized by all aspects of society for inclusive communication. The difference between verbal communication and nonverbal communication lies in the way they are expressed. Verbal communication includes spoken or written words, while nonverbal communication includes gestures, facial expression, and postures. Understanding this difference is essential to avoid misunderstanding and promote accessibility. About paralanguage and paralinguistic, these are an integral part of communication, and vocal characteristic, vocal qualifiers, and vocal isolation affect expressions. These elements provide nuances beyond spoken language and help to understand information. Effective communication involves a subtle interplay of verbal and non-verbal elements and recognize the richness of different communication systems. Thanks for your attention. Have a good day.